It's top of the hour, and it's time for Making a Difference. I'm your host, CJ Metcalfe. On this program, we look at people in our community and the difference that they're making in other people's lives. So, today's show is, may I remind you, sponsored by the Military Heritage Museum's Gulf Theater. We thank them very much for their sponsorship. And you can go to gulftheater.org and check out the shows that they have lined up. Many tributes, rock and roll tributes, great things are coming up. So go to the site and check it out. And Donna Whalen, thank you again for a hat from your collection. Thumbs up, girl. I love the hats. On today's show, we're going to look at special needs people. This is something that some of us are very near and dear and close to. Something that we have to face. It's life. And the gentleman that I'm bringing on the show today will talk to you about Special Olympics. He's very actively involved in Special Olympics. And then he also is a life planner that can help you plan for what's down the road. So let's get him in here and get talking to him. Dave Elkins, I welcome you to the show.
Great day to be here in Florida, especially for those of us who moved here from up north recently.
Oh, are you from up north?
Yes.
I'd never know. I'd never know.
I'm working on it, CJ.
Okay, let's talk about the Special Olympics. Dave, you are just an amazing person, and I know that you're involved with coaching and working with Special Olympics, and there may be some people out there that maybe they have a special needs person that they would like to get actively involved. So let's talk a little bit about the special needs peoples and Special Olympics.
So I coached my kids in sports all the way up. Two of my kids played college sports. Then we moved to Florida here. My kids are out and, as I say, off the payroll now. And I got rid of that big house with 5 bedrooms and 50,000 feet of lawn. And now my lawn takes me about 10 minutes to mow. So I was looking for some things to do. I have done some special needs planning for clients up in the Boston area. And one way to meet lots of people who have special needs children or sons and daughters is with Special Olympics. Contact the Southwest Florida Special Olympics, which is 5,000 members. So it's a big group of people. That's just the area. That's just the Collier, Lee, and Charlotte County. And I got to be friendly with the director. And I've done some events. Unfortunately, we've had a few events get changed up because of COVID, especially the indoor events. But if anyone wants to get a little warm spot in the middle of their chest, go volunteer for a Special Olympics event. I did a golf tournament actually at Charlotte Country Club. It was fantastic. All my players got ribbons, lots of high fives, lots of low fives, lots of fist pumps, lots of hugs and kisses.
Oh.
And actually, because of my coaching background, I would suggest anyone who coaches their kids, youth sports, even if they're not Special Olympians, go do it so you can learn how to coach properly. So you don't yell at your players and you make sure they have a good time. Because unless you're getting paid for it, everyone should have a good time in sports. The Special Olympics people do a fantastic job. They're organized. They have lots of funding. It's a great cause. And it flows well into what I'm trying to do to help people with their planning for the future.
Well, when we refer to special needs people, let me explain that, special needs can involve like one of 4 areas that I think they classify it as physical, developmental, behavioral or emotional, and sensory impaired. And I'm sure you see one of each of those categories in the Special Olympics. which group of that classification would you say is most popular, actively involved in the Special Olympics?
The spectrum is pretty large. The event that I last did was a basketball event down in Fort Myers, and there was a young lady in the event who was blind, and she was shooting baskets because they take the walking stick and it lengthens out, and they tap the rim, and she can hear it, and she made some baskets, and the crowd went wild. So it
Wow.
really is a wide range. You had people there who are very, very high on the spectrum and have very great, very strong skills, physical skills, and just maybe aren't totally able to take care of themselves, and all the way down to people who need 24-hour care.
Well, and I can also see where involvement in the Special Olympics, that other families are able to take and bond with other families of special needs. And so, because a special needs person, I have a sister that is special needs, and I'm very much aware of how much time and dedication and effort that it takes for that life to survive. And of course, we want them to have the best life possible. They are missing something that the rest of us have, and they may or may not know that they're missing something. But we want to give them the healthiest and fairest chance at a full life as possible. And Dave, the Special Olympics is, how wonderful that is that you're involved in that. And do now, where do they meet here? I mean, is there a place where you guys meet and do these things?
Well, the last event that was canceled last Sunday was at the Fort Myers. It was a big event. This was a regional event, so I think they expected like 1,000 competitors. But this was indoors, so they get these facilities get donated by usually either the city, the high school, the county. The In June, the National Special Olympics event is at Disney with 4,000 competitors. And I will be helping out at that a little bit as well. That's a big, big goings on. That's a whole week. And that's many different events.
Well, if some of our listeners, if they're wanting to look into this, into the Special Olympics, how can they get a hold of you or get in touch with you to get more information and find out more about this?
They can call me and I'll steer them in the right direction on how to get set up. You actually, at my level, I had to get a background check, which took about a month here in Florida. I didn't know I was such a criminal, but it went through. And they do a background check. I had already been Corey checked for my coaching years up in Massachusetts, so it wasn't anything I was worried about, but it does take a little while. And there also are events that you can go on their website and you can walk up and be a sort of a guest volunteer and see what it's like, which I highly recommend. I did it a little differently, but there were people at the golf tournament that we did who just happened to go that day and wanted to see what it was all about.
Okay, for those of you listening on the radio, if you want to call Mr. Elkins and inquire more about the Special Olympics, I'll give you his phone number. If you have your pencil ready, it's 617 899
86 9986. Coming up wrong. That's fine.
Uh-oh.
It's 9986. We'll get that corrected.
Corrected. Let me repeat myself. 617 899
9986.
9986.
Maybe we can get that fixed on the screen.
Oh, it's just a typo. We all have them.
Nines and eights are pretty close.
Yeah, you can get your glasses on.
So CJ, my first client, special needs planning client, is a friend of mine from my old town outside of Boston, and they have a child who's 16 who is very, very low on the spectrum, pretty much needs 24-hour care, and his wife does that. She is a hero in my mind. And I've been to their house many times to do planning and see what they're at. And they have realized that when they're not physically able to take care of him, or um, God forbid they're not around, which will happen at some point in time in the future, what do you do to make sure that their son, who I'll won't use his name, but how does their son live in the style that he's accustomed to when they can't either do it or not around to do it? And that's really what our conversation is about special needs planning, is what would mom and dad like to see happen to the son or daughter when they can't either take care of that child or manage their affairs, or ultimately they won't be here. And that was one thing I wanted to talk to you about a little bit today. There's a big club in America, it's called the Procrastination Club of America. And they've never had a meeting, and many people know they need to do these things, and they don't do it. So my role is really to be a little bit of a nudge and get you there. And the big thing I think people probably don't do it is because they think it costs them money. My services are free. If there happen to be a product that we might have, either from New York Life or other avenues that we have, that would be how we would make money. But really, our services are free. Also, here in Southwest Florida, we partnered up with a local attorney who is ranked in the top 50 with special needs planning.
Now,
that's important as well.
What you're getting into here, Dave, is Dave, as a result of his involvement with special needs people, through his company, they have, and I've reviewed the packet, and it's very informative, and it raises a lot of questions that you slap you in the face and you have to answer. But it's Planning Alive, Transition Considerations for Your Child's Future. And in there, it went over things that are true. That, granted, the government offers some care for special needs through Social Security, disability, and other avenues, but it doesn't cover everything. And Dave has a chance here to motivate you to look at your situation. What have you planned? What needs to be done? And he can help walk you through that. None of us, we want to make sure that our child is something above and beyond government entities, because they need more. It takes money, it takes effort on your part to set this up so that this special needs child is provided for. Because in the case of a parent or a family, I know of an accident that wiped out an entire family in one day, and the special needs child was staying with a grandma. And so what's next for that child, and what was planned for that child that they can survive? And and as we all age, what's going to happen to that child if the parents have to go into a nursing home and not be there to transport them, to make their doctor's appointments, and oversee their finances and their medical care and everything that goes along with that. So, Dave, talk about this packet. I'm assuming that when people come to you, that you can give them this packet and sit down with them and go down and address each one of these issues, and slap them in the face as to where they're at with it. Have you planned for this? What are your plans for that? So talk to me about that packet.
Well, the packet was developed. I worked with another agent who has a special needs child who we had hoped to have on the show today. And he developed a entire program, the packet, the webinar. Um, Obviously, with COVID now, a lot of stuff is online. And he is one of the top special needs planners in the entire country and has partnered up with me here in Southwest Florida to work with Special Olympics, work with people who are looking to do special needs planning. And Leo is a wonderful guy. And you just really went through a lot of the conversation that Leo would have, or I would have with a parent on, let's say, for example, right now you drive your son or daughter to some sort of class, special needs class that they go to school. Now, what happens when you can't drive them anymore? You want to retire, you want to move away, you want to travel. All these things that go on, not when you're gone, these are things that go on when you're alive, you still have money, you're still doing well, but you want to live your life as well. So there's lots of things involved here. And getting back to the state and the federal government, I don't know. I don't think too many people, at least in Florida, want to rely upon Uncle Sam to take care of their child. And who knows what's going to happen with those programs. Sometimes they get slashed. Some states they get enhanced, and they're different from state to state. So with many people moving to Florida right now, I think the backup is 2 years to get into the Florida programs for assistance. They certainly don't jump right away and say, here I am, I'm here to help you. And, there are some things that are great about Florida, but if you come down here from Connecticut or Massachusetts or New York or New Jersey, they have lousy weather and lousy roads, and they have high taxes, but they actually have a lot better programs for these type of things. And many of them also go away as your kid gets older. And that's the big thing. As your special needs child ages into their 20s and beyond, a lot of these programs go away. So that's the stuff that we help people with. It is quite difficult navigation for the parents. And so my team can help anyone from state to state on how to navigate through the quagmire that the government puts in front of you. And that's a biggie.
Well, like a special need, I'm going to take my sister, for example. She is deaf and autistic, no communication. She has no communication ability. But let's say that she lives with my mom 24/7 for care.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say mom's in the hospital. I'm here in Florida. They're not here. And let's say she needs to be taken care of while mom's in the hospital. So, or something happens to mom. Do you want, and this is a question that everyone has to face, do you want your special needs child to go into a group home? I'm personally not fond of that. And what if they need transportation to go to the dentist or the doctor? What are you going to do? Put them in an Uber? Not with my sister.
No.
She needs some special transportation. And here locally, I would be more apt to put her in Ambitrans, which, they're accustomed to transporting it. But this all takes money and planning to be able to provide for them. Who's going to go feed them and get their groceries? Oftentimes, I have found that special needs, there's one thing that's important to them, and that's food. Thank God he put that into them to have the desire to eat so that they get nourishment. But, and, who's going to oversee that? There's so many questions that need to be answered. And Dave, I know in that packet that it helps you look at all these areas and decide what you need to do and what you need to plan. And now is the time to do it, not later in the Procrastinators Club.
That's correct. You really, CJ, it's really about asking good questions. Two people, one-on-one or on Zoom if they don't, with COVID, whatever avenue we take to sit down and talk to them and say, okay, let's see. Let's run the gamut from A to Z and start thinking about this stuff. And it doesn't happen overnight. This is a process. And people probably are sometimes afraid to do this because they maybe don't want to hear the answers to the questions. And then, of course, in the long run, unfortunately, it also comes down to money. And where's that plenty of money? Well, do you want to retire? Do you want to travel? Do you want to spend some of your hard earned money on yourself? Well, I do. Most of America is going to outlive their money. And so, therefore, what's going to be left over for the special needs child? So, how do you put something away on the side, a piggy bank, with a trustee who's going to help them manage that money and make sure that they have that lifestyle that you, again, have talked about that you want to see them maintain when you're not here or you're retired or you spend down your retirement, et cetera, et cetera. So all these are great questions. You have brought up many of them because your own experiences. I luckily have not experienced that with my kids, knock on wood, but I know plenty of people who are planning this stuff. And again, the younger, the earlier you do it, the better off you are in many, many ways.
And so you can help do you guide and direct them, or do you actually offer the solutions in saving the money, putting it in a trust account, and going through all those steps of the legalities of it? Can you help people with that?
We have again, my team is composed of also a local attorney, Lance McKinney, who's based in Fort Myers, and he is on the top 50 special needs attorneys list for the entire country. I did not know him. We went on Google and we looked up special needs attorneys in Southwest Florida, and Lance popped up. I called him, had a lunch with him, and he gets it. He's in, and he knows his stuff. We did a webinar for the Special Olympics in the fall, and he was fantastic. I was super impressed.
Okay, Dave, I'd like for you to real quickly give your phone number and how they can get a hold of you, your email address, because those in the radio audience aren't able to see the video to see that information.
So my name is David Elkins, ELKNS. My email is delkins01 at ft.newyorklife, that's one word, .com. And my phone number is 617-899-9986. And my phone is always on. Most of the time it's my wife wondering where I am. But other than that, you can call me anytime. I am very, very punctual. I'm one of those people who always is early for appointments and always on time for calls. And I hate voicemail, so I try to pick up all the time.
Okay, David, I can't thank you enough for coming on to the show and telling the people about this. Those of you, you can go to the Facebook page, Making a Difference, if you didn't get all this information. And again, thank you for your information and thank you for your time. And we'll see you all next week.